Well, the first week of LCS Spring Split is almost done. Right now, I'm talking to Deftly from Evil Geniuses with coverage brought to you by Alienware to talk about how things have been going. So, Deftly, I'm going to be candid with you. I feel like a lot of people were not, like there was not a ton of anticipation when you returned to the league. I think there were not too many people that were like, oh man, this guy's going to slap people down. But it feels like you've been having a great start to the year. What is your own self-assessment of your own performance?
I think so far I've been doing okay. I'm definitely not happy or content with my play as of yet. I think for me, this is definitely the best team I've ever played on since I've started playing LCS. So I definitely feel like our ceiling is a lot higher than the previous teams I played for, and because of that, like my play also looks better because my teammates are also better, right? And I think deep down I just don't want to let my teammates down, and I know that like on paper like I'm supposed to be the weak link on this team, and I have a lot to improve on and grow as a player. So I'm definitely excited for that, and at the same time, I'm happy with sort of the results we have been getting, even though we lost to Team Liquid in the semifinals of lock-in. But so far, it's been great with the team.
That's interesting. When I watch the co-streams or the broadcast, they're all kind of hyping you up and saying they feel like you played really well, especially after this game. I think Primal was even saying it. But it sounds like when I talk to you, you think you're getting carried by your teammates. You're like, no, this team just makes me look good.
Yeah, honestly, I feel like I've been playing, or at least in LCS, I've been playing the sort of same way I have been than on my previous teams. Obviously, I've learned some stuff over the years, but I felt like just like a lot of the plays we're able to make now compared to on previous teams is just worlds apart just because of like the talent we have. So it feels like I'm more enabled to do what I want to do, or there's just a lot more options for us on the table.
Yeah, very good. Well, it's interesting to hear that. I'm glad to hear that you're feeling good about the team. What do you think? How do you think you fare compared to some of the other ADCs in the league? Because obviously there's been a lot of shakeups there, and we've seen some new faces come in.
I think right now there's plenty of strong ADCs. I think Tactical, Sven, FBI. I think those are like for me like the top 80 carries at the moment. I think they play. Not only are they good mechanically, but they play with their team really well, and they're able to generate a lot of bot side like pressure and plays, like dives. For example, 100 Thieves, they always dive bot. TL always has like really strategic like bot ganks and like bot setup. So I think that we have a lot to learn. Like me and Ignar are definitely still new as a bot duo, but I think right now we're on a good path to being like one of the best as well.
Do you think teams are playing more aggressively in bot lane compared to in past seasons? Because I think we're seeing a lot more dives and that type of stuff, right?
Oh, for sure. I think right now, at least the top bot lanes, they're definitely playing really aggressive and looking to like make an advantage and like make sure they are the difference maker for their team. And I think that's great to see. And like we get to watch the film and see like, okay, like what are our takeaways? What can we do to like implement into our game, stuff like that. So it's nice to see.
What do you think it is that's causing that? Is that just the meta that allows for this kind of aggression in bot lane, or do you think it's like a mentality change for some of the bot lanes in the league?
I think it's a sprinkle of both, I would say. Right now, a lot of the bot lane champs have a lot of damage. Like Kaisa, for example, Samira, Aphelios. Like these champs are all really strong early and have a lot of all-in pressure when paired with like a sort of engaged support. So it makes it so you can have these crazy all-ins where you can just 100 to 0 someone. And on top of that, right now the jungle meta is like also really high burst damage junglers outside of like Udi or Olaf, right? But Olaf still does a lot of damage. But like Talia, for example, with when paired with like Alistar or some sort of like CC champion bottom, you just one-shot people. So you're able to like set up a lot of crazy plays that otherwise wouldn't happen in previous metas. So it's really early game focused right now.
Your mention of Kaisa made me think. Did you see the Reddit thread about her this past week that was like highly upvoted?
Oh, the one where she has like a 60 or something play rate.
Yeah.
Why
She's
isn't she
like
getting her?
has huge presence or whatever. So I'm kind of curious. What do you think of that? I'm seeing if I can look up the exact title while we're doing this. What do you think of that conversation? Like, is she just too popular? I mean, obviously there's a difference between LCS games and solo queue, but I'm curious what your take is.
I think right now she's kind of like the jack of all trades for ADCs. She kind of does it all. She's pretty strong early game and she scales. And on top of that, she has a lot of mobility and outplay potential. So her kit currently gives her probably like the best ADC kit out after like 15-20 minutes. I think right now the only counter to her is like punishing her early and making sure you have a lead and snowballing with it. But yeah, I think either other ADCs get buffed, so we see more diversity, or Kaisa gets nerfed. Obviously, I'd like to see if like more ADCs get buffed because that's always more fun for me. But yeah, as of right now, I think Kaisa will maintain and stay like a really high presence pick.
And when will Heimerdinger return?
um,
Are you waiting
that's
to
a
bring
tough
him
one.
back out again? Is he gonna show up at some point in time?
There's a chance. There's a chance. It's hard to say. I think mages right now are just in a not so great spot, especially since they changed like the ability power items.
Yeah.
They're really expensive, so it takes so long, and with the current meta, it just doesn't seem possible. And I think with the item overhaul of like Gale Force, Kraken Slayer, like ADCs actually right now are really really strong. So I don't see a return of Heimerdinger in the near future, but if my team needs me to play it, I'm ready to.
Okay, well maybe you can bring it up with them. Shifting gears a little bit, I wanted to ask you, I also don't know if you saw the discussion around at least some owners want to have the import rule restrictions lifted so that they could import as many players as they want for their teams. I don't know if you had any opinions on this, but I've been asking a lot of the players I've been interviewing about it.
I think I feel like that kind of take the NA out of NA LCS at least, or
well, I mean they've already taken the NA out of NA LCS. It is just called LCS now.
Okay, that is true, but we still play in North America, and I think a lot of the fans like cheer for NA at Worlds because of like the NA players, right? And I feel like we kind of lose our identity, but I definitely think if the import rule were to be like what's the word, like taken away, the level of the league would definitely go up. I think there'd be a lot better players, right? Just because we're able to like pick and choose like which talents we want to get. But at the same time, I think right now with the import rule, I think the league is making like great leaps and bounds on like improving talent with like the amateur scene and all that. So I don't expect NA to be like really bad a year or two from now. I think there's going to be a lot of growth and new players. Like you can see even in LCS this year, there's so many new faces.
Yeah. Well, I'm excited to see what you can do as one of the North American talent for us returning to the stage. Is there anything that you want to say to any of the fans out there?
Well, I think it's been a while since I've played in LCS. I think it's been like a full year. And for all the fans that are still cheering for me, I really appreciate your support, and hopefully I can hopefully make new fans in the future with my upcoming play. So yeah, just be on the lookout for EG, and hopefully we can do great stuff this LCS spring split.
Very good, very good. Well, thank you so much for the interview, Deftly. I really appreciate it. And for everyone else, you can check out the rest of my coverage of all things LCS right here on my YouTube channel. You know, oftentimes people accuse me of seeming a little too stiff in these interviews, you know, just not having enough animation. And I just don't get where people get it from, you know. It's just I put a lot of energy into these things. And so when people just accuse me of staring vacantly, I'm very confused. Regardless, you should go check out Alienware. You can go find them at alienware.com/Travis. There's a link in the video description below. You can use Travis10 off to save 10% off your order. We thank Alienware so much for supporting my ability to make really stupid outros like this one.